Hey everyone! Welcome back to Ruby&Beyond. And yes, I know it's been a while. To be exact, almost 3 months since the last episode. But a lot of things happen in my life. I will share everything with you, so let's dive right in. So first things first, I'm working on one major project, my EB1 petition to immigrate to the United States. Who are not familiar with this, it's a pretty intensive process, but it's crucial for my future plans, it's crucial for my career, so I spent a lot of time on it. But I'm on track, everything's fine, I hope that it will be ready somewhere in September of 2024. Speaking of big news, another big thing that happened is that my wife won in diversity lottery of 2025. And for those who are not familiar, it's another way to immigrate to the United States. You just need to win, but the chances are less than 1%, so we're extremely happy with this opportunity, but I'm still continue to work on EB1 because I always want to have as a second plan, and I want to keep all our options open. And speaking of exciting announcements, as you already know from the name of this video, 37 Signals released the new Writebook project about a week ago, and this is their second project that is distributed from the service once.com. And you might remember the first project, Gemfile, but it costs $300, so it's pretty big amount of money. But what is the best part about Writebook? Yes, it's free. It's completely free. It's not distributed from a GitHub repository. You still need to go to once.com, download it, not just download it, buy it for free, and you will receive an email with the link where you can download zip code, zip archive. As you can imagine, it's generating some buzz in tech community, and I can't wait to dive into the code base and share my thoughts with you. In today's video, we'll be diving deep into the 37 Signals Writebook. I'll be sharing some key insights, my personal takeaways, and how it can impact on our work as Ruby developers. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit subscribe button and click bell icon so you don't miss any updates. I promise there will be a lot. And as always, if you have any questions and comments, please feel free to ask them under this video. I will try to answer everybody. Thank you, and let's go. Hello again. So, in this video, I assume that you already downloaded the source code of Writebook from once.com. If not, please go and download it right now, because it will be much better if you will not only view this video, but you will do the same things, open same files while watching this video, because it will be for you easier to understand what I'm talking about. So, I already said in last episode that in each new code base, in each new Rails code base, I start my journey by opening this Gemfile, so we will do the same here. What can I tell you about this Gemfile? It's very small. Just, I don't know, 49 lines, including development and test dependencies. It's very good. Keeping your Gemfile as small as possible is good, because it just makes your application load faster. You have to worry about less dependencies, so it's just a good approach. What I can see here is that a Rails version is defined to load from GitHub. Yes, we already had the same approach in a previous episode and maybe it's a good solution. I'm not sure that I will do the same, but if guys from 37 Signals do it, then they understand what they are doing. Okay, what it gives us an ability to use the latest Rails version, and in our case, as far as I remember, yeah, it is Rails 8 Alpha 1. Not even Rails 7.2, but Rails 8. Okay, what else is here? For some reason, I don't know why, but when I tried to run tests, it failed. It just got hang. And what I did to make them work, I specified that I wanna use only one parallel worker, and yeah, they work well. It takes about 20 seconds to run them on single core, so pretty good, pretty fast. Okay, let's go to other things from Gemfile. I don't understand why the rescue is here and rescue pool also, because there are no background jobs in Writebook. Maybe just because the 37 Signals team use the same Gemfile template for all their applications, but still, why not solid queue? Good question, maybe somebody will answer. Now let's go to the code base. We will not only watch Gemfile within the whole video. And what I want to show you is that, as well as in Campfire, here in Writebook, the naming is perfect. So let's go to book model that is located in app models. And here you see there is a press method. The thing is that when you want to add some new page to the book in the physical world, in the real world, it is called to press a page, because it's actually printed under the press. So the same is here. If we wanna add a new page which is called leafable, and I will tell you later why, there is a press method that creates a new leaf in leaves collection and accepts param for this leaf. So now the question is why it is called leaf. Because again, in a printing world, a page that is printed from back and front called a leaf. So everything is similar here in Writebook. Now let's go to see what is the leaf is. So the leaf is actually a model that includes delegated type. Again, we already saw this in maybe, and what is delegated type is actually a thing above polymorphic association in Rails. It works exactly the same as polymorphic association, but it also adds validations, some methods to make your work with polymorphic models easier. So now, so here in Writebook, we have delegated type leafable that can be only classes that are defined in leafable types, and leafable types is, let's see what is leafable types. To do this, we should go to leafable RB, that is also defined in app models, and it's not a model, but this is the approach that 37 Signals uses. They do not create any specific folders inside app folder. Instead of this, they place everything in Rails default folders, and I can say for small code bases this is very good. So it can be either page, section, or picture, and you can find these classes here. So page is actually just a simple page, picture is a page with a picture, and section is a page with a shutout. Okay, now let's look at the table structure. So the table structure, again, it's very simple. So here are our leaves, and you see it. This table includes not only information, general information for the leaf, like its position, its status, and its title, but it also includes a reference to either pages, sections, or pictures table, and an ID of an object in these tables. And pages are a pretty simple table. It includes nothing because all the text from the page is stored in action text markdowns. Pictures includes nothing and a caption, which is optional. And only sections includes a text body because it doesn't have either picture or text attached. Okay, now let's go back to the code base. And for example, to some class with private methods. Let me find one. So maybe the page. Yes, okay, the page. So let's speak about code formatting. So first of all, since this is Rails main, it includes Rubacop configuration by default. If you go to Rubacop YAML, you see it inherits from Rubacop Rails Omakase gem, and yes, this is good. I will tell you later what else is included in Rails 7.2. But here in page class, you can see very specific formatting that is specific for 37 signals applications. If you will open, I don't know, like Kamal gem, and you will find private methods inside of Kamal code base, you will see this doubled, instead of two spaces, they use 4 spaces for private methods. This is not forced anyhow. If you will do like this and try to run Rubacop, there are no custom rules or something, it's not enforced, they just have this convention side of a company. And maybe it's good because if a file is rather long, you don't need, and you see that it's tabulated with 4 spaces, then in this case you definitely know that this is a private method. You don't need to scroll anywhere, like in this situation you definitely know that this is a private method. But maybe it would be better if they will have custom Rubacop rules that will enforce this. Okay, anyway, for me it looks very, very good. Okay, what else? What else you should always know with the new code base when you observe it? Of course, for Rails, it's routes file. And routes file, again, it's very short. It's easy to understand what is going on here. What I wanted to pay your attention to is these methods that are called direct. And direct method, it's not widely used in Rails, but here it helps really to make everything more readable. So look, before this direct method, these 2 direct methods, there are 2 routes defined. The first route is to show a book, and another route is actually to show a page of the book. And then there are 2 direct blocks. So what is going on here? You see that we define a route for slugged leafable. We defined a block that helps us to use slugged leafable route, and I will show you how. So let's go to some let's try to find it. Oops, so something is wrong here. Sorry. I searched for the wrong thing. So we define a block that is named leafable slug. And now let's go to, I don't know, anywhere like here to the helper that uses this method, this block. So you see we pass only one argument, and this argument is getting expanded to our URL that is defined, to our route that is defined here. So if there was no leafable slug block, we should use this route in our helpers and views. And I will show you how it would look like. So instead of leafable slug, we can use slugged leafable. And but we should define all the things that we pass to it here. And in our case, it will expand to rather long method call. Yeah, you see? Definitely better to use a block with one argument compared to using a usual pass with 4 arguments. So if you have some real custom routing like here in route RB, don't forget that you are able to define these blocks with direct method. It's very, very usable in this case. Okay, cool. Now let's go to controllers, and let's go actually to the controller that is used here, Leafables controller. I will show you what is going on. So Leafable controller is interesting for us because of 2 things. The first thing is that it defines a lot of actions like new, create, show, edit, update, destroy, usual crude actions except to index. But if you will take a look back to routes file, only show action is used. Why? Let's try to understand what is going on here. Because actually pages and sections and pictures, where is pictures here? Pictures are inherited from leafables. So it is not how we usually inherit controllers in Rails, because in Rails we usually define like, I don't know, base something controller and inherit everything from this controller. If we wanted to define a base controller for admin, it will be admin base controller, and all controllers in admin will be inherited from it. And in this admin base controller, we usually have, I don't know, like some authorization calls or something, but I don't remember that before I had controller structure like here. So here we not only have some private things, private methods, but we have public methods defined, and in this case we don't need to redefine them for each leafable. So pages, pictures, and sections controller don't have private methods. They all are inherited from the parent, from leafables controller. It's very good. It looks really well because you don't need to duplicate your code. You don't need to repeat yourself. If you need to update something, you can do it in parent controller. If you need to destroy something, again, this is defined, the section is defined in parent controller. Really good. I love it. The next thing that I want to show you is how they handle default parameters. I really enjoyed this. So let's go here and let's try to find some good examples. So yeah, here, leaf params. Leaf params methods that defines params for each leaf. Not for leafable, but for leaf. It's 2 different things here. And here you see that instead of creating some default things, I don't know, in models, defining default params in models, default attributes, they define them here in controller. And again, I love it. So what is going on here? We have default parameters that includes title defined, but it gets a value from leafable. Leafable is not defined in this parent controller. It's redefined. This method is redefined in each of its children. Let's go to, I don't know, sections or pages. Let's go to sections. It's a bit bigger. So what is going on here? New leafable method is redefined here, and it creates a new model section and passes its own params to this model. So this section includes a method that is called, since it's an active record model, it responds to model name human, yes? And in this case, if we will create page, the default title will be page. If we will create section, default title will be section, and the same with picture. So I really enjoyed it. It's just awesome how this inheritance and parent-children relations work in this example. Also, let's go back to section controller, and here you can see that Rails attributes method, which is fetch, is combined, fetch and permit, is combined with Ruby hash methods with defaults. As far as I remember, it's defined in hash. Maybe I'm wrong. But still, in one method that returns an params for a leafable model, we not only define which params are allowed, but also we define default values for these params. It's great. Again, I really love it, and definitely I will use it in my Rails applications. Okay, next thing is very similar to what I already saw in Gemfile. So the very usual situation is that you need to create some service-like object in Rails and you don't know where to place it. So the answer is here, you should place it to, or at least not should, but you can place it to the models. And it not only places it to the models file folder, it works like a model. So in this case, if we want to call first run object, let me find it, where is it? So yeah, here. You got redirected to first runs controller if your database is completely clear and you install Writebook for the first time. Not only install, but run Writebook for the first time. And here you see we call first run create, pass user params to it, and return user. It looks very similar to Rails models because it doesn't define a method like call, because we don't know what call is. Instead of this, we define create method, and we already understand that, okay, in this class we create something, and since we pass user params to it, so probably it is a user. It is very native, very easy to understand, and this is how it's defined in Writebook. The same goes with demo content. So demo content creates your first Writebook inside of your Writebook installation. And it has one public method that is called create manual. Create manual, maybe it would be better to name it create manual for and pass a user as an argument, but still create manual is pretty readable, pretty understandable. So here we create a demo content for a user that we just created and return this user, and it already has a demo content. So really good, I love it. As I told you, the same approach works in Gemfile codebase, and actually, since I saw Gemfile 3 or 4 months ago when it has been released, or 5 months, or maybe even 6 months ago, I use it in my Rails application, and I really love it. Okay, now one more thing that I wanted to show you. Let's go back to demo content class and scroll to the bottom of it, and here you see that not very complex, but still pretty complex regular expression is divided into 4 lines, and each line is commented. This works because we have this x modifier at the end of this regular expression, and what it does, it allows you to have multi-line expressions with comments in Ruby. Again, it doesn't make this regular expression just completely easy to understand because it's still a regular expression, but what it does, it allows you to understand what is inside of each component, inside of each part of this expression. Yeah, it's very readable. Definitely your colleagues will say thank you to you when they will see this. Okay. Next, not big, but really a usable thing here is have enums, active record Rails enums are defined. So you know that active record has an enum API that allows you to define some key value values, objects, yes, and besides these objects, there are some method defined, so you can switch value of this field easily, and so yeah, it's a good API. But on a Gemfile code walkthrough, David said that he's angry for himself for creating Rails enum API that uses integers as a database values by default. So if we will just write this enum like we usually write it, let me show you. It will be faster to copy the existing one. Okay, if we will define it this way, this means that in database, black value will have a value 0, blue will have 1, and etc. Green will have 2. It's still pretty readable here in Ruby code, but it's not readable at all in the database. So let's go to the database and see how it looks now. Now, instead of some integers as values of theme column, we have strings because we index this array by itself, and it returns an array of arrays with doubled value. So I will open Rails console and show you how it works. Let's see. Sorry, it's not array of arrays, it's array of hashes where keys and values are the same, but I guess you understood me. So this one is much better compared to integers, because you understand that blue is blue and magenta is magenta. Okay, now let's go further, and I want to show you how you can use some core Ruby classes. Yeah, so here I found that set is used instead of array unique. I want to remind you that set is actually uses hash under the hood, and it's unique by default, and it's much faster than array on some operations. So if we will rewrite this line with an array, it will look like editors unique. So I guess now you understand what is going on here, but let's write another one. Let's rewrite another line. So we should also make sure that readers are unique, and we should also make sure that both editors and readers are unique. So we call unique 3 times here, we create new array, each time we call unique. It's not the thing that I wanted to do, definitely. And this example with set looks much better to me, because I already know that set is unique. I already know that this value is also unique, because set plus set is still a unique set. So it's just a good example how you can use set to store some unique collections. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is this model concern that is called Positionable. And what it does, it allows you to position pages of each book that is stored in Writebook. So how do we usually position something in database? I usually used an integer column, because it's just first that comes to your head. and each time I tried to reposition something, I had to recalculate all positions that are behind the items that I just positioned. This approach that is used here in Writebook is completely different, and I will show you what is going on here. So first of all, let's go to this database, and we should find leaves, and you see that I forgot to say that this positionable concern is used in leaf model. And here you see that position is defined as a float. Why? So the question is why. I'll show you how it works. So to do this, I need to start. It's already actually started. Writebook, and let's go to the book that I just created. It's just a sample book that includes section, page, and picture. And let's go to and let's try to reposition something. So I want to place page number 3 to actually position number 3. And now let's try to see what happened. Where are our books? Where are our sorry, something is wrong here. Okay, here is the deal. So to be honest, I don't know why I have 5 leaves here, because I have only 3. Maybe no, I don't understand what is going on, but it doesn't matter. So the thing is that now one of my leaves have position 1.5. So what does it mean? It means that they don't need when you reposition your items on this page, you don't need to recalculate positions for all items after this page, after the items that you just repositioned. Instead of this, you have positions that is between the items that is on the left and the items that is on the right. It's very easy to understand and very easy actually to implement. So I will show you how it works here. So this concern define move to position public method, and when you drag something on the front end, like this, you make a post or put. I don't remember exactly the request. Let's see what's actually going on here. So it is a post request that includes position and ID of an element that you just repositioned. And in this case, as you remember, I dragged page number 3 to position 2, but it has index 1, and this is what we have here. And what actually happens after this, we call move to position method, and it calculates that now page number 3 should have position 1 and 75. This can be a rather long process, so we can drag and drop everything, but at some time we can come to situations that the gap between the items, either gap from the left or gap from the right, can be very small. And in this case, we call a rebalance position method that is defined at the bottom, and it just recalculates position of each item from row number SQL function. Why it is better than having position defined as an integer? Because in this case, usually you can recalculate position with a constant time. With an integer column, where you always have to recalculate position for each items that are after the items that you just drag and dropped, it takes O from N, not a constant. So I love this approach, and I will try to use it in my Rails applications. So what else I wanted to show you? So you see, Writebook tracks where you stopped reading, and with this orange ribbon, it means that the last page that you read in this book is page number 3. What I wanted to show you is that all this information is stored in cookies. So you see here, we have cookies that is called reading progress 1 and reading progress 2, and it tracks my reading position from this book and default book from that is called Writebook manual. Again, when you use cookies, you should always remember that cookies are not unlimited. So each browser has its own limitations, how many cookies can be stored, how many cookies from a single domain can be stored, and what can be the size of each cookie. So to know your limitations, I found a project that is called Browser Cookie Limits. Sorry, I don't know, it worked actually several hours ago. Let's try to Google, maybe I made some mistake. Yeah, it exists. I don't know, it worked, and but it doesn't matter. You should understand that there are limits, and it's not unlimited. For a project like this, for Writebook, it's fine because it's not supposed to include the Congress library, yes? But maybe it would be better to store reading progress in the database for if user is authenticated, to store it in the database. If not, to store it also in the database, but create a single cookie that will identify you as a guest. Maybe this approach will be better. Okay, let's continue. And at the end of this video, I wanted to show you some features and things that will be in Rails 7.2 and in Rails 8. And since this code base uses Rails from the main branch, they already exist here. So the first thing is that Rails 7.2 has an extended support for progressive web applications, and if we will open router.b again, we'll see that by default at the end of the file there are routes to deliver service that not deliver but to access service worker and manifest file. And besides routes, there are actually files that will be that can be modified, and by default they exist in views PWA, and here you see manifest JSON and service worker JS. So here you can define your service worker. Here you can define your manifest, provide information about what is your application, its description, how it should be displayed, and all other stuff. And even define shortcuts for your progressive web app. Okay, besides this, another thing that will exist in 7.2 Rails is an ability to control what browsers can access your application. So by default, it will look like this, and this means that all modern browsers are allowed to use your app, but you can define versions manually, and in this case it means that only Safari 16.4 will be able to use it, not less than 16.4, Firefox 1.2.1, and Internet Explorer is not allowed to use your app a lot, which I am completely agree, it even should not exist. But this also means that everything that is not listed in this hash is allowed to use. And at the same time, all agents that do not pass user agent here header properly are also allowed to use. Everybody else will receive 406 HTTP error, not acceptable. Let's go back to, so let's make everything as it was and go. And by the way, you can, since it's just a method that is defined in action controller base, you can use everything that you already used in your controllers, like only and accept filters. So if you want something to be if you want to just restrict more rules, to apply more strict rules to some actions, you can use only or accept. Don't forget about this. Cool. Now let's go back to files that we already visited, and here we're in Rubacop YAML. So by default, all Rails 7.2 apps will use Rubacop Rails Omakase configuration out of the box. And again, I completely agree with this. This is something that should be done before, because now we have a Rails Rubacop configuration for all new applications, at least, that will be similar. It's great. Besides Rubacop, also in Rails 7.2 we have Brakeman out of the box. So with Rails 7.2 you can do being Brakeman and ensure that your application follows some basic security rules. Again, it's very, very good. And with, I believe, with Rails not 7.2 but 8, you will have a slightly different look and feel for Rails console. So instead of default IRB console, Rails 8 will have this project application name here and also your current environment, which again, very good, especially, I'm not sure that I need an application name here, but environment is really good. And as I told you, I don't know where it will, where this feature will exist, either in 7.2 or in 8. That's all. Okay, I hope you enjoyed Writebook code base walkthrough a lot. If you have any suggestions what to improve, what to change in my future videos, please don't hesitate to leave comments. If you have suggestions what code bases to observe in future videos, also please leave comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope to see you really soon. I hope that I will have time to do this. Thank you and have a good week.